welcome back to another book review. And today I took on It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This book was actually hand recommended to me. I have a lot of people now recommending me books, which is awesome. I love that. And this one, the person was so emphatic. Hey, Cam, you have to read this. You've been reading a lot of Colleen Hoover. I think you're really gonna like this one. So let's get into it real quick. As you guys know, I format these reviews by reading the back or the inlet, whatever we have. I got the paperback version of it, so I'll read the back of it. And I'll already tell you, it's a Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com. So Schitt's Creek is a show. I've never seen it, so I know nothing about it. I just made sure this was the first book, so I wasn't missing anything. But I know nothing about Schitt's Creek, and that's fine. You don't have to. So we'll get into it. Tessa Bailey is back with a Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com about a Hollywood it girl who's cut off from her wealthy family and exiled to a small Pacific Northwest beach town where she butts heads with a surly, sexy local who thinks she doesn't belong. I don't have my glasses on, if you can't tell. Piper Bellinger is fashionable and influential, and her reputation as a wild child means the paparazzi are constantly on her heels. When too much champagne and an out-of-control rooftop party land Piper in the slammer, her stepfather decides enough is enough. So he cuts her off and sends her and her sister to learn some responsibility running their late father's dive bar in Westport, Washington. Piper hasn't even been in Westport 5 minutes when she meets big-bearded sea captain Brendan Taggart, who thinks she won't last a week outside of Beverly Hills. So what if Piper can't do math and the idea of sleeping in a shabby apartment with bunk beds gives her hives? How bad could it really be? She's determined to show her stepfather and the hot, grumpy local that she's more than just a pretty face, except it's a small town, and everywhere she turns, she bumps into Brennan. The fun-loving socialite and the gruff fisherman are polar opposites, but there's an undeniable attraction simmering between them. Piper doesn't want any distractions, especially feelings for a man who sails off into the sunset for weeks at a time. Yet she reconnects with her past and begins to feel at home in Westport. Piper starts to wonder if the cold, glamorous life she knew is what she truly wants. LA is calling her name, but Brendan and this town full of memories may have already caught her. Okay. Sorry for my poor reading on this one. Like I said, didn't put my glasses on. Hard to read it. And I've been reading a lot lately, so my eyes are a little fatigued. This is my first Tessa Bailey book. I've never read any Tessa Bailey. Let's just jump right into it. If you guys know, I try to give a general review of how I liked it, and then I'll let you know, hey, I'm going to give all the spoilers, and then I'm just going to talk the whole book. So I gave you the synopsis from the back of the book. If that's what you want, it's literally written to be a movie. And now they have decided to make it into a movie. Not shocked on that at all. This is going to be a good rom-com, I think. Here's the thing. I appreciated the fact that they didn't harp on how ditzy and how like Legally Blonde type she was. I appreciate the fact that they were like, this is who she is. Let's move on. The party that they threw was weak. Like, the whole setup to her being in trouble was like, really? Okay, we're talking very rich people, like very ritzy problems here. She broke into like a very fancy hotel and jumped in the pool and threw a party in the pool, and her dad got in trouble because he's a movie producer, and his fellow like funder of the movie project they were working on owned the pool that she broke into. And he was like, you're irresponsible, blah, blah, blah. But it was a pretty soft setup. You didn't feel bad for her really in any way. But so anyway, this is her stepfather, which right there you're like, okay, usually the stepdad has a weird relationship with the kid, not so much like I'm funding your life and being super cool with you to the point where I'm only cutting you off for 3 months. They said that she was getting cut off and sent to this place. Like, he was like, hey, go and do this for 3 months and come back and show me you've fucking learned how to be an adult, right? So they find out that her father, her actual father, was a like crab fisherman from this town, had a bar that this guy was supposedly still paying the rent for whatever reason, as like a sentimental thing to them and their mom. But he was like, yeah, your mom doesn't talk about it. It really messes her up. The mom was absent in the book. Like, you didn't hear about her. Yes, she was around, but you heard about the stepdad. So it was more like they were even closer to the stepdad than they were their own mom. So she is sent, Piper and her sister Hannah go to this small town, and as soon as they show up there, Brendan is there, the seaboat captain, the fishing captain, and yeah, he's mean to her. He's a complete dick. I don't like that. I don't understand why. I guess we call this a trope, but it's the mean to love trope where I'm going to be a complete ass to you and then somehow we're going to find mutual attraction in each other after that. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but it's well written. Just because that's not my favorite, that doesn't mean it makes it a bad book. So I'm willing to separate those two, at least for review's sake, right? So they end up spending more time around each other because it's a small little like island, you imagine. They didn't do a good job of setting up the scene very well. I didn't get like a beachy vibe. I didn't get really like when Nicholas Sparks does his North Carolina scenes, he really sets them up. I don't feel like the scene was really set. Yeah, the cover is what it is. I don't like really this new style of cover art that seems to be very popular right now. It just looks very childish. It's hard to defend. I'm a dude who reads romance novels. That's hard to defend. Walking around with this, I look like I read middle school kids' books, which this is not a young adult book. Let's just talk about it, right? So they obviously, it's a romantic book, so they fall in love. The meanness to each other wears off, and they end up hooking up. Tessa Bailey does a good job at playing out a adult sex scene, and she does a good job of describing everything. She's a little more graphic than I think young adult people should be reading. Here's the thing, Tessa Bailey. Your dirty talk sucks ass. And that's for real. No dude would talk like that. I'm just being real. If there's a guy that talks like that and like is like I literally couldn't read it without laughing because I'm like, yo, come on. Some of it, I understood where she was coming from, but to a point, you're like, okay, we're still people who care about each other here, and this is a little much. The dirty talk sucked. The dirty talk was awful. Leave that part out. You can leave every other part of your dirty scene in there, and I think the book is even better because now I don't have to mention how no guy in his right fucking mind would talk like that. Just being real, okay? So there's that. We made it half, good portion through the book, and I'm going, where's the problem here? They're deep in love. Sure, she's supposed to go back home after this stint, but her and her sister really got a can-do attitude about cleaning up the bar, and there was no real resistance to that. When they first got there, they just fell in love with the process of everything, so it made everything a very easy flow. So when it got to the point where you're like, there's got to be a problem here, right? Either he's going to die out at sea because there was an accident, of course, and someone got hurt, but it wasn't him, but that's how you found out they really cared about each other because he was like doing small things. He went out to sea the first time just after they had engaged and was still being mean to each other. And he had done something to like make sure she was taken care of. She kept hitting her head on the bunk bed she was sleeping in. And she sent some guy over to make sure there was a pad there so she didn't hit her head. But then the second time he went out, he's like, here's a key to my house in case you need anything. And so then when they went out that time, she was staying at his house, sleeping in his bed, like wearing his like body wash and stuff, shows up to the hospital thinking he's dead because of a boating accident. It wasn't. It was like his friend. And he's just there to check on him. But he's like, hey, you like me. You show up. You were at my house. You like me. So, it came down to it where there was this pivotal moment where they started fighting. He got upset when he found out, and now I'm in spoilers, so I'm going to spoil the book and everything thereon after this. They got in a fight because she had loose ends, essentially. So they weren't talking about the fact that she wasn't supposed to live there. She was supposed to go back to LA, and they just hadn't talked about it. So she had a friend that was trying to be like, hey, the paparazzi heard about you, what you're doing, about like that you just vanished to go work on yourself. You're all the rave. Come back. We'll live together. And this person is the one who ratted her out to the police, but it's still her best friend in LA. And she's like, yeah, whatever. We'll move past it. Maybe I'll show up to this party. And she's like, what are you talking about? Maybe this party's for you. This is reintroducing you as like the it girl in Hollywood. I like the fact that they didn't make her like a super TikToker influencer where every 2 seconds she's like, hold on, let me do this. Hold on, let me do that. That would have kind of killed the book for me a little bit. They made her, I don't know, they made the transition from her life in LA to this new seaside living kind of thing very easy, where she was just kind of letting it go. However, they did mention that she was 28. So I think that is a very pivotal time in your life where something happens. The book starts off with she's getting broken up with after a 3-week relationship, and they said that was her longest relationship. That next night ends up in jail. Well, okay, she's 28 and she hits a rock bottom. I think she's open to a new way of life at this point, right? She has no, skills. She's just like an influencer. So who posts like, and they made sure to say she posts like raunchy Instagram pics and she gets like endorsement deals from that. So she's not really a person of substance. So I think she goes there, gets some dirt under her fingernails, and again, she's willing and wants to do that. Fixes up this bar, meets this guy. Then he's like, hey man, what the hell? I thought you were just going to drop everything and we were going to figure this out, but he doesn't even really say that. So he leaves. He's like, look, you take all your options, figure out whatever you got to do. I'm going to go sleep on my boat for the night. And, we leave in the morning, me and my crew. So if you're not there, I'm just going to assume you're going back to LA. Well, there was an accident that morning, of course. And here's where it's perfect for a rom-com, because I can already see it in my head. She's chasing to get down to the dock landing or wherever the hell they dock boats for crab fishermen. And this old man that she's been hanging out with falls, hits his head. She's taking care of him. She still gets him taken care of, rushes, gets there. The boat's gone. All the friends and the family of the crew are standing there going, oh, you just missed him. You just missed him. So he's going, screw her. She left. So she's sitting there having like an internal fight with herself going, have faith. No, he's not, he's going to know. Well, they really start pushing hard on her to come home, be at this party. She tells her sister, I think I need to go do this. She goes to LA, right? And this is where the book, you could tell it really speeds up the ending, because in a rom-com, they have to just get through the problem part quick. So she goes very quickly from standing on the side of a dock, going, he left, but he had reason to leave. I was late. He thinks I'm not choosing him. No, he's gonna know that I'm choosing him. Oh, I'm going back to LA. See how kind of back it went? Brendan gets back, goes, well, she chose not me, and what are you gonna do? And someone goes, no, she was here. She waited. She showed up late. This guy had an accident, but she waited. But now she's gone. And he was like, shit. So now he rushes off to LA, shows up at her party as she's about to be like, I don't know what they were saying she was doing, like being lifted up from a twirling unicorn or some shit. I don't know what happened, but he saved her from it. Was like, I love you too, whatever. And she was like, yeah, I'm not LA anymore. This ain't me. Let's go back. Let's do that. And her sister had a boyfriend that had a job somewhere else, and she was going to go do that. So it sounded like Piper and Brendan were going to run this bar, and he was going to be a fisherman, and she was going to learn how to just be a simple gal and be happy about that. I liked the book. I enjoyed it. Again, Tessa Bailey, just tone the dirty talk down for what you think is necessary and how people do things, or you really just like dirty talk. Maybe that's your thing, and I'm not judging you for that if that's the thing, but I'd say take about 20% off her, maybe. I like everything about the book. Would I rush out to grab the next one? No. But if I'm at a place where I'm like, oh, hey, I've read everything on my TBR list, which I have quite the list piling up now, and it seems to be growing every single day. Because my sister's recommending me books, people at my kids' schools recommending me books, my coffee people are now recommending me books. It doesn't stop, which I love. I hope you all keep recommending me books as well. So that point saying is I have quite the TBR to go through now. I'm reading Heartbones by Colleen Hoover right now, so that'll be the probably next review you guys get out of me. And then, yeah, but again, if I hit a lull or I'm walking through one day and I see, oh, Tessa Bailey wrote a new one where it's something about this or maybe something completely different, yes, I would grab it. I would throw it in a book haul to be read within the month. That's typically what I try to do. If I'm going to buy a book, I want to read it within that month. If I'm not going to read it within that month, I need to get rid of it. And I only have one book that I've done that for so far. So overall, I'd give this book 4 out of 5. I'm not going to give it 5 out of 5. It didn't blow my hair away. It was a good book. It was well written. I enjoyed it. Visually, I was in it the whole time. I look forward to watching the movie. I'm a huge rom-com fan, so, that would be that. We'll review the movie when it comes out. Go buy the book. Support it. Let me know what you guys think. Love you.